because I remembered that time. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for coming here. This is going to be a great time. We have two brilliant speakers that are going to introduce themselves in a minute, and they're going to talk about SAFe and agility. They both have a great deal of experience with Agile and the law. Gabby's actually a lawyer. Michael has another aspect of the law he spent a lot of time with, you know, here and there.
Courts a lot.
We are going to have lean coffee table. There's the link that we'll post a number of times. Everyone, I am so grateful and blessed and honored that you all are joining us. This means so much to me every month when I see all these wonderful faces. So, hey, Camille, and I'm so glad to see each and every one of you here. And please, you can post your LinkedIn profile in the chat. I will connect with each and every one of you. And you can also post your thoughts and comments in the word cloud. We'll save that. We will later post the presentation and the recording on agiledmv.org. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to we'll let the trial begin.
Great.
Love your outfit.
What else?
So thank you, Honorable Judge Mowbray. And SAFe is on trial today. We're going to do this performance in 2 acts. We're going to start with our initial 5-minute introductions, and then we'll get into a deeper discussion of the main cases for 15 minutes each. And then we'll have deliberations where you as a jury will be able to help decide, is SAFe truly Agile or is SAFe maybe something else? So first we'll go over members of our prosecution and defense. So you'll see I'm here, I'm one of the advocates. I have a lot of nicknames: Agile Mike, Mad Dog, you can call me that. I've been doing software delivery and have been almost every role except as a lawyer. I have not been in that role yet when it comes to related to software development, product leadership, etc. And I have, one of my favorites is product management offices. I've also taught SAFe, and now I think I've hit over 500 people with teaching SAFe. I'm a certified SPC5, and actually I've begun my journey as an SPCT. So many of you know how that journey can be. It's very long, and I'm just really seriously beginning it now. And so with that, I'm with CGI currently. They were the first global SAFe worldwide provider. I also have a lot of work I do on the side with my own business called Lean Agile Enterprises. And as well as you can look up my LinkedIn profile under Agile Michael Dougherty. And I just wanted to say one other thing. Both Gabby and I, this is performance art for us. I'm sure Gabby will bring it up too. So Gabby, you're up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gabby Hoffman. I am also an SPC5. So just to clarify for everyone, I teach SAFe. I teach SAFe a lot. I'm involved with SAFe a lot. This is a bit of performance art with us to have a good time and also talk about some of the things that go on in the SAFe world and in Agile. And I am an attorney. I don't practice anymore. I don't have to practice. That's how good I am. But I've been in business analysis and now product ownership and Agile coaching. Those are the main focus of my life. I'm currently working with Magenic Studios within Cognizant Soft Vision. And with that, I think I'm going to grab the screen from you, Mike.
Yep, go for it, prosecutor. See, there's no anonymity between us. It's all love here.
Cool. That's just for the cameras. I've seen them fight.
Make sure I get my view all up and going and ready to go. All right, good evening and good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by telling you a bit of a story. And this is a little bit about my origin story in Agile. I remember my first ever time being involved. If everyone can make sure they're on mute.
Okay, can everybody go on mute, please?
So I remember the first time I ever got involved with Agile. I was on a waterfall project where my lead wanted to get more Agile with how we did things. And he kind of gave me a brief intro and then gave me access to our TFS, remember TFS, environment, and asked, hey, go ahead, Gabby, go ahead and get everything set up as makes sense to you. I looked it over and I said, hey, can I make a couple changes? Sure, whatever you think is going to make sense based on what I told you. And I proceeded to completely waterfall our entire environment and process. That was David then allowing me to make my mistakes myself. Through the years, he and I actually have stayed close. He gave me tips even at that time about how to get better, how to really work in Agile in an agile way, and how to move forward in such a way that made sense in Agile. But David allowed me to make my own mistakes at first and learn how to be agile. And that's kind of what I wanted to start here in how we talk about SAFe. It's that you can't impose things on a team. You can help teach them, you can help them learn, but if a team does not self-organize around things, it does not give them ownership, and their performance will never reach the expectation that you have for them. And so there's a lot of different versions of Agile out there. Let's be honest. Pure Agile is just one word. There's a million different ways to think about this. There's SAFe, there's Lean, there's Scrum, there's Discipline Agile. There's a lot of different versions out there of Agile. But we're going to be talking about SAFe because in reality, we have to say, is SAFe really meeting what Agile is looking for? So let's talk about self-organization. Because when we talk about Agile, one of the major parts is that self-organization. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to address how SAFe drives people to do things their way. It's not best practices. It's this is the way you have to do it. It's not you should do it this way. It's this is the way. But what if something works for someone else? What if something is better for them? Sorry. Our process and tools are ready things. They will always work for everyone. But what about documentation? I understand that there's importance to documentation. In fact, any Agile person, if they say to you, there's no documentation in Agile, you know that they don't know what they're talking about. There, of course, is documentation in Agile. And I love templates just as much as the next person. But if you look at what SAFe is asking you to do, there is a ton of documentation. And they are absolutely valuing documentation over being Agile. We'll talk a little bit about planning. And we really know in Agile, the goal of Agile is to respond over following a plan, right? Well, when you sit and talk together for 2 or 3 days about 3 months of work and then commit to that work, that's not going to allow anyone to pivot without mercy. That's committing to a plan. It's because you've now wasted 2 or 3 days of your time, and we can't mess up our 3-month plan. It stops people from pivoting, which is critical to Agile. Finally, we'll talk about the customer focus. How the SAFe does not focus on the customer the way they need to. They don't put the customer front and center, both figuratively and also literally. Here's what we're not going to talk about. I'm not going to build up straw men just to knock them down. That's not helpful for anyone. We are going to get onto the facts here. So we're not going to talk about the fact that SAFe has licenses and charges money for this stuff. Yeah, so does almost every other framework, okay? We're not going to get into that. I'm going to reference SPCs a little bit and how they work in this, but licenses, I don't have a problem with that. Money, I get it. You have a business to run, I get it. We're not going to talk about that in terms of SAFe. We're not going to talk about poor execution. There are a lot of bad actors out there who don't know how to implement SAFe. There's a lot of people who claim this is SAFe, and they aren't really. I think we've all heard the term getting scrummed before from people. They say, we tried to do Scrum, it didn't work. Same thing for SAFe. Sometimes people just don't know how to do it. I'm not going to get into that either because that's easy to knock down, of course. Bad coaches? Yeah, there are people out there who are telling people to do things a certain way. We're not to get into that. It's not worth your time. It's not worth my time. We're not going to talk about the fact that you can't have any processes. Agile's just got to figure it out. Just go with that thing. No processes whatsoever. I mentioned all the frameworks before. I'm okay with processes. I get it. We got to help people. But we're not going to get into the fact you can't have a process. We're focused on this process. And finally, we're not going to talk about all or nothing Agile. I'm not going to get into the fact that you either need to be fully Agile or not. That's not helpful for anyone, and that's not reality. It's a progression to become more mature in Agile. And so by the end of my presentation, you will understand that SAFe is guilty of not being Agile.
All right. So let me share my screen.
So what do we think about his comments? Everybody type something in the word cloud, and does he deserve a thumbs up or a thumbs down? All right, Michael.
Well, while you're doing that, then I will actually do this. Looks like somebody's put something in there. I just wanted to show this for a little perspective. There we go. Honorable Judge Mowbray, we all have to respect that you are the judge of this, and we'll get to that more. And recognize again, I've put this into our Zoom chat for this trial. We will be drinking some lean coffee, using that as our table, as you members of the jury. So please make sure you create an account if you haven't already. Log in the board. As I saw, at least one person has put in some of their comments and statements that we will decide on together with the judge presiding regarding what we have as for SAFe on trial. So with that, I'm going to switch back to the defense. So I must say, it's very interesting what was brought up by the prosecution. I think we are going to go over some of the comments that he said we weren't going to go on to. I think they're very relevant to this case. First off, let me go with my origin story with SAFe. My origin story of Agile goes back to 2002 and Scrum back in those times at KBR. I'm not going to go into details of that, but with SAFe to me was a dog with fleas. I got to see it originally in 2011 when I was working in the oil and gas industry in Houston. And Sanjeev Augustine, some of you might know who he is, right? He's based in the Washington, D.C. area. He did a presentation about SAFe in 2011 at Cisco Foods, not the technology Cisco company, Cisco Foods. And I was the VP of the Agile Leadership Network at the time. And so I was curious, naturally, looked at SAFe and it looked like, man, I don't know about this SAFe. It looks like a real serious dog with fleas. It got a lot of problems with it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to keep watching SAFe, keep an eye on it, right? And a couple of years passed by, I haven't paid much attention. Getting to 2013, I'm starting to know how SAFe is evolving. It's not the version 1 that it was back in 2011. Now they've gotten to version 3.25 or 3, one of those numbers, right? And in late 2013, I was in Chicago at the time, and I went to a couple of meetups like this one, but they're in Chicago with companies like here. They're the ones that do the GPS systems, right? And I would talk to them and said, yeah, you know what? The portfolio level is not so bad. I'm sorry, the program level is not so bad. The portfolio level, that's a mess. Nobody can figure out. They're all over the place with that. And so I'm like, okay, well, that still doesn't sound very good. You're saying this Agile release train thing's good. But, well, then I joined the same company that Gabby's at in 2015. And all of a sudden, SAFe becomes like wildfire. You hear about scaled Agile, that companies are joining on it. In 2015, it was big. And so I was looking at it further, and it was more like, wow, why is it so popular? I need to find out. Fortunately, I had a fantastic manager who said, why don't you go to Boulder, Colorado and get trained to become an SPC? So I did exactly that and got Joe Vallone and Drew Gemolo involved with it. So I realized that SAFe still had fleas, but there were a lot less fleas than there were before. So that's when I realized also, after that training, I had a bit of an enlightenment. It's like, okay, you can read a lot in their big picture they have and all those things on there, and it looks complicated, but there is something for everyone. It's kind of like today's software. Scaled Agile has been very flexible. Semper Gumby, flexible. They have a lot of moving parts. You can flex around it. You can do the parts you want to. Think like Microsoft Office 365. Do you use all the parts of Microsoft Office 365? No? Okay. Well, you probably don't need to for SAFe as well. So then start small, right? We all know change is hard. Change takes a lot of time. It's people that makes change hard. We do human transformations, not digital transformations. And fatigue does exist when you take theory and you meet it with reality, okay? And even essential SAFe, the starting place that Scaled Agile says, well, that's complicated. So recommend not doing everything at once. Start small. Go the direction you want to. Otherwise, you're going to find out it's going to go very poorly for you. So with that, choose your own adventure. SAFe is flexible where context is king. It's a framework of suggestions, not the Bible or an Agile stick to knock your head off. If it is Agile, right? That is in question here. Even with their 10 essential parts of SAFe, you can modify those to where your context is. So that set of guidelines based on those values, house, lean, and principles can be tailored. I'll give one example. There is a company, UHC, Genomic. I did some work with them. They've got their own flavor of SAFe. It barely even looks like. They never even took any of the regular training for a long time. So this is where you are king. And then the last point I'm going to say for my opening statements is that bad teachers. Gabby said we're not going to talk about it. Well, I'm breaking his rule there, all right? I've seen bad teachers in SAFe. I've witnessed them. I was one for a while. The first several times I was doing it, I was happy enough to be with someone else, but I actually got thrown in the fire and I did it by myself. So I didn't even know how bad I was until I learned more later. I was growing along with SAFe, all right? I've seen them where they don't have the Agile mindset. They don't have that heart of Agile, and they manage to memorize the terms. They manage to pass the test, but they don't understand what they're talking about. They don't have all of the understanding. And so SAFe often gets that bad name from those bad teachers that end up leading a transformation in a poor way that makes people dislike SAFe because they often dislike the person teaching it, right? So a major part about SAFe is to recognize people skills, organizational change management, and when you need help. If you're not sure you're a bad teacher, you probably are a bad teacher, okay? So that's the end of mine. I'm going to give it back to the prosecution.
Thank you. And everyone, if you feel like taking a moment and typing in your thoughts on that into the word cloud that Laura was kind enough to because she's got my back. Love you, Laura. And everybody, if you want to give, Michael a thumbs up, a thumbs down, whatever you're thinking there, that'd be great. Thank you.
Stop making faces, Judge.
I'm not impartial. I do make faces. I take bribes too.
I'm well aware.
Beer.
Your Bitcoin's in the mail.
Martinis, there you go. Gabby, do you
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, want to make sure I didn't accidentally mute myself. Okay, so I'm now going to speak to you about my main presentation. My pro counsel may have other opinions in terms of things he wants to address, but I'm going to go on the things that I think are important to discuss in this room in terms of what is really important. And I think anyone who is involved in Agile is well aware of the basics of the Agile Manifesto. The 4 basics, right? These 4 things. We value the items on the left more than the items on the right, right? That's our basics. You have to pick something to rally around, right? If we're going to say what is Agile, it's the Agile Manifesto. If we can't come to an agreement on that, honestly, I'm not sure we can come to any agreement if in an Agile group. This is Agile, right? We got these 4 basic ideas and then the 12 principles that back it up. When we think about Agile, the manifesto was actually written like a good user story, right? This is kind of our basic story narrative, and then we got some acceptance criteria. And it drives into the details. And it is a process, right? And the manifesto only gave you certain parts. So different frameworks have come from there and given more details on top of it. I like to give the example when we talk about the Agile Manifesto of how long, based on the Agile Manifesto, should a daily stand-up be? Altogether, it doesn't say. Anyone wants to say 15 minutes, I'm going to go to you and say, sure, cite your source, please. Because it doesn't actually say that in the Agile Manifesto. That's what the industry, I would say, has come as a best practice. I'm a big fan of the 15 minutes, to be honest. But it doesn't actually say that in the Agile Manifesto. What if 30 works better, or 5? That's fine, because it's all within the Agile Manifesto of what Agile is. And when we talk into each of the areas, I want to go over whether SAFe really meets those. So let's start with individuals and interactions over process and tools. So I love this graphic. I use it all the time at all my clients. It's the evolution, how Agile is better than waterfall, how you get pieces. And you know what? Agile is an evolution itself. No one is Agile on day 1. And you know what? If you ask many of the coaches in the field, if you ask them, hey, how long did it take for you to become an expert? Most of them will answer with, I'll let you know. Because it is evolution. We're always getting better. I can tell you, I'm a command and control guy. I am definitely on an evolution to get better at Agile. That's where I come from. I need to get better at Agile. And over the years, I've gotten better and better. I know it takes time to get there. And this shows how there could be so many different variations as you get there. But now let's talk about how SAFe thinks about Agile. So they start with their own principles on top. Good try, Agile. We're better. We got this better than you. We have to throw more stuff on top of your lightweight manifesto. Now, some of these are really good, I'll be honest, and most of them are flavors on the original. I'll be honest, I use the word small batch sizes all the time. That's just a flavor of maximize the work not done, right? But realistically, SAFe is saying, no, these are the principles you have to follow. Let's talk a little bit about these scaled Agile basics. What are their basics? What's the foundation? The very simple thing that SAFe says, if you want to learn how to be Agile, follow this simple thing. Whoa. Sorry, I almost got, giant thing out here. But don't worry, these are the basics. These are the basics of SAFe if you want to do this. Okay, so I'm being a little disingenuous, right? This is the real basics. This is what scaled Agile refers to as the essential configuration. All right? This isn't the thing we talk about. But where does the individual fit in? I don't see the individual anywhere on here. Well, if you look on the left side, there are people. They're kind of there. They're kind of involved. But there's a whole lot of process and structure, kind of like focusing on the process over the individual. Now, I won't tell you that SAFe doesn't care about individuals' interactions, but they sure have their perspective wrong. If you look at this, it's essentially a giant process and tool. You want to be SAFe Agile? Follow these processes and tools. But don't worry, we have our basics. If you want to know the basics of SAFe, we have 4 configurations, 10 new principles. We're at SAFe 5.1, which just came out last week. We had other versions before that, but things have changed. But you got to keep up because we have these other trainings. And you got to go take these tests to make sure you take up. We got to follow also these new terminologies. We don't call them sprints here, right? No, we can't. God forbid we use the term that everybody in the entire industry uses of sprints. That would be too simple, right? We have our own version. We have to call it iterations. Okay, got it. Okay, you got your iterations. We got it. We got your PI planning, our whole new thing that we got to talk about. Everybody on the same page? We got a glossary. There's literally a glossary. So everyone's on the same page of all these tons of terms. Get everyone on the same page. Agile? Euler? But don't worry, they are the kings of scale. They are scaled Agile, right? In fact, they are scaled Agile to the point that they even trademarked the name. If you want to know what scaled Agile is, you have to use ours because we trademarked it. And we got all the configuration roles to go along with it. But only these 4, right? Essential, large solution, portfolio, and full. Mr. Dougherty mentioned before about how people get complicated in different areas and things evolve. Got it. But at no point does someone who's given these trainings the SAFe say, well, you could take this piece from here and this piece from here and this piece from there, and if that works for you, great. No, you pick from one of these 4 and any of the 4 you want, just like the Model T, right? Any version of SAFe that works for you, as long as it's one of these 4. Maybe it'll be 5 next time we come out with version 6. SAFe basically says there's one way to do everything, right? But what if there's an exception? What if your team wants to do something differently? SAFe says that's not okay. We got to do it our way. Our way is the best way. The individuals don't matter. You have to follow our way. Again, I understand there are stats on why SAFe is great. I understand they have a whole thought around why you should do it their way. And they have proof. I get it. I really do. But it doesn't work for everyone. It's not always going to work. There are other ways to do it. And sometimes you got to be agile and let people do things that work for them because it's going to work as long as it fits into the idea of agile, because those are time-tested things of 25 years, right? 25 years officially. Sometimes we're better when we let people do things their own way. Let's talk a little bit about working software over comprehensive documentation. So again, I won't claim that SAFe has completely broken Agile by adding extreme amounts of documentation. I won't go that far. But there is a lot of documentation there. And some of it's valuable. Lean business cases, I know a lot of places that use those, not just SAFe. Got it. But when you take those and take them and combine them with the processes they've added, PI planning, Art Sync, lean budget sessions, I take all that together, you're gonna have to document a lot of things in there. There's a lot of things to add into that thing. And anyone's gonna be adding documentation out of there. The more people are gonna do, the more we're gonna create documentation. And once you create documentation, people want to hold on to that documentation. It's really hard. A blank piece of paper is scary, but scarier is changing stuff that's already written on one. Talk a little about responding to change over following a plan. So, PI planning, the ultimate planning, right? 3 days you're sitting there. In the current remote world, we do 3 days. 3 days of PI planning, of all these plans for 3 months, you got to go together. But are you really empowering people to say 3 months in advance, no, we need to change? SAFe absolutely says pivot without mercy. It's in the decks. I've seen it. But have you ever tried actually doing it after you've locked in? You know, they say the hardest thing to do in sports is to walk into your Super Bowl locker room at halftime and change the strategies that got you there because it's no longer working. In Agile, if you're planning short term, that's fine. In this method, not only are you committed to it, but you have people then asking you about it. Well, how's everything going? Well, are you ready for PI planning? Are we meeting the metrics that we planned for in PI planning? How are you tracking on those PI objectives? How's your work working? What are your risks? What are your issues? What are things going on there? Guys, got it. We got to get into these things. There are good Agile metrics. We got this like burn down chart. It's going to tell you how everything's going. We got risks and issues. All good? Not in SAFe, right? We got all this documentation. Let's talk a little bit about customer collaboration over contract negotiation. This one's always the funny thing to me because any of us who are consultants always like, contract negotiation is going to happen anyway, even if you're Agile. But even the SAFe purists are going to admit that customers weren't the focus as much as they would like in the previous versions. I think they've up and down admitted that it was a mistake and they're fixing it. I'm glad that SAFe did a retrospective on it. I really am. Good that they're following the process internally. Great. Can anyone tell me where the customer is here? Now I'm colorblind, but I'm not location blind. It takes a little bit of effort to find that, right? It's in there. It's important. Is it central? I don't think anyone can argue that that's central in SAFe. So what did we talk about? I went over how each of these core concepts are violated by the SAFe framework. In fact, one might argue that in SAFe, the items on the right are more valued than the items on the left. One can say they can disagree with the Agile Manifesto. That's fine. You can disagree with it up and down, left and right. But then call yourself something besides Agile. Because after 25 years, that's the plan. That's the book. That's Agile. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prosecutor. Everybody, if you have any comments, please go into Menti Meter and add them. And everybody can give him a thumbs up or thumbs down. Michael, I forgot to ask one thing. Will I be able to call on witnesses? And if I do, they'll all have like 90 seconds, no more, no less.
It's going to be 3-minute blocks for the Lean Agile coffee table, but you can, as a judge, you're the judge, you can call on witnesses if you like. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I may wish to hear from just a few people. I think 3 in particular.
All right, fantastic. All right, so we're going to get to my main presentation. Thank you, prosecution. You just given me the right ammo, the right bullets to shoot with. I really do appreciate that. That's wonderful. And I'm going to say something I know really gets, how should I say it, prosecution a little bit uneasy, and that is there's no magic in SAFe except for maybe PI planning. There's magic there. I think someone in the prosecution doesn't like that statement. So let's go over what makes SAFe actually real Agile. All right, let's start with the resistance, okay? And we've got our old Star Wars resistance here. I'm going to start with a story here. I love stories, and this story is a particularly memorable one to me. It happened on a very special day in 2016. Most of you will probably know this day because it was right after the Chicago Cubs won the World Series after 104 years. And it was celebrated on the Friday after that. I happened to be in downtown Chicago. No, I wasn't in downtown Chicago to get blitzed. Like 5 million of my best friends were there. I was actually in the Morningstar building at a Agile event with David Hussman, rest in peace, regarding Agile Day Chicago 2016. And in that day, a lot of things happened. One is I got in a big fight with David Hussman about his SAFe Real. he's written a lot of articles in the past saying SAFe is fake. And then the funny thing is we argued about it. He says, no, SAFe is overblown and all that. And then 3 months afterwards, he writes an article about how SAFe has a lot of good things to it and merits, and that it maybe does have real Agile to it. Then I talked to another IT consulting organization based in Chicago. Now, I'm not going to say their name to protect them, but they were totally against SAFe. They said, SAFe is terrible. We don't do it. What do you do? Oh, we do scrum.org. We're doing Nexus. We're doing, back in that time, there wasn't Scrum at scale, but they were doing Nexus. And they said, we don't like SAFe. So, okay. So first we've got coaches out there that were around before SAFe, and they hate SAFe because it gets into their territory. It starts affecting their work, their consulting, their money, their pie. And then you get organizations out there. I'm in Discipline Agile. I'm in not LACE. I was in a LACE earlier today. I was less large scale Scrum. SAFe is a competitor. They are coming into my ground. Therefore, I'm not happy with them. Okay, so that was another argument. I got even to a third argument, and that was with Mary Poppendieck, but it wasn't related to SAFe. It was related to DevOps. So I will leave that one out. However, the Coup de Grace, a good friend of mine actually got mugged that day too, which really just made it a very terrible day. And I thought, man, can it get worse? Well, let's think about this. Where is SAFe really going, right? First off, you can get turned off by first impressions. You look at the big picture, you even look at Essential SAFe, you go, oh, this is too much, it's too stringent, there's too many things to it. You can have a terrible first experience. I did that with Agile. Back in mid 2000s, 2008 through 2011, I was working at British Petroleum as a consultant, and they hated Agile. They thought Agile was terrible, and you couldn't even say the word. We had to say things like time boxing, fast iterations, prototyping, and so on, which became Agile. And now, if you talk to people at BP, they're all behind SAFe and Agile, right? That frozen middle is like Planet Hoth in Star Wars. It is frozen. Middle management's afraid of their future, afraid of their job. These scaling networks and Agile is going to take away their job. SAFe makes them feel comfortable because it still preserves those jobs. You could say that's bad, that's good. There's a hierarchy, there's a value stream network, but SAFe provides a place to come in as a convenient marriage, right? So think about it this way. Change happens. And like W. Edwards Deming has been known to say on the lean side of things, change is optional, but so is survival. So SAFe is neither dogmatic, okay? We don't got some Simpsons related dog going crazy, ripping up the furniture and stuff. SAFe has been proven in the field with companies. There's plenty of data with it, but also personal experience. I've talked to many people with their testimonials. All their testimonials and their sites come from the clients. They create them themselves. SAFe doesn't change them. I had one client that I worked with that was having some major problems. They're a IoT type company, and they were delivering hardware and software that they were starting to lose their business to. This is a US-based company, to Korean competitors. The Korean competitors were pulling out their operating system and putting in their own operating system, their products that was better. And so they were losing because they would resell them for higher prices, but people wanted it because the operating system was that much better. The interface, it was, IoT, iOS and Android, and the interactions with it, and the apps were much better. So they started going with SAFe in the US, and then they started getting all their product owners and product management and all of those people put together. They started running. It took them years. Granted, they went slow. It took them years, but they got to the point where they actually rebuilt their own operating system from ground up, and they had a better product as a result, and the competition went down tremendously, and they started being more profitable again. That was due to SAFe. So SAFe is always improving. This is very important. We get to not just do it our way. It's a matter of everybody goes through these times when you do change. Remember, SAFe and getting on SAFe is like change. They go with operational excellence. I look at SAFe like Amazon, in that they're always improving. They treat their framework like a product, like a process and a product. They're always improving it. And so SAFe might not be too much of one thing, but it's always a lot of improvement. So what it was 10 years ago isn't what it is today. Notice how they flexed when COVID-19 hit just a year ago, right? It's been just a year ago. And how they were saying, I remember the days, thou shalt not teach SAFe remotely, right? Now, I did do it in 2017 internally, remotely, and that was a one-off. But in general, SAFe was not allowing that. But then COVID-19 hit, and then everything changed. So the founders of Scaled Agile recognize they have to change too. And just like Amazon says, they were beginning as a bookstore online, and then they became the everything store. SAFe started with just PI planning and doing agile release trains, and they're like the everything product, right? Business agility is supposed to go everywhere, the entire enterprise, the entire agency, wherever you may be. So pick what you need, all right? I like to think about this like bundling, all right? When you use Microsoft Office, do you use every single part of Microsoft Office? Now look about Office 365. Let me show you. How many of you in here use every single one of these? I mean, I didn't even know about Sway until recently. And there's a lot of these are definitely new, right? Power Automate, what's that? Right, lists, you got list bookings, right? I'm pretty sure that no single person here uses all of these. I'm not gonna ask for votes or anything, probably this whole group, there's at least one thing here that everyone hasn't really used, at least on a regular basis. So it's about bundling. SAFe has bundled their offerings, just like Amazon does with Amazon Prime, just like Apple does with Apple One, where you have music and TV and arcade, iCloud, fitness, and you just pick what you need. Hey, you only want to do fitness and the Apple Music? Great. You got the bundle. You do what you want with it. If your kids want to do the arcade, great. You know, you get to do whatever makes sense for you. That's how SAFe has been structured. So it's got something for everyone. Now let's also consider one of my favorite tools, Jira, and the Atlassian Marketplace, right? Jira's got everything, right? And so does that mean we should throw Jira out too? Jira's got a lot of apps to do whatever you want. You just pick the apps you use. You don't have to use all of them. Same thing with Scaled Agile. So I saw a comment about the amount of trainings that are out there. Yeah, SAFe's up to 14 now. It was 13, but of course they couldn't stop at 13. That's a baker's dozen, and it's an unlucky number for a lot of people. So they're doing agile marketing with SAFe. There's no certification with it yet, but I'm sure one will come out sooner or later. If not that, then something else. Right? There's a lot of variety here. I've been fortunate enough to teach almost all of these courses, with the obvious exceptions of like implementing SAFe. But in general, it's a matter of where are you in your journey? How far along are you with what you want to try? And then you just pick whatever part of SAFe makes sense for the context. You get to meet Scaled Agile wherever you want to in Scaled Agile. It's giving you all of those. You don't have to do them all. Do the ones that are applicable to your situation. So it's been proven in the field, right? It's gone the war out there. It's gone the industries. If SAFe wasn't good, would people be adopting it so much? It's grown in dominance. It's winning the war. It's like an analogy. If you go to ancient Rome and you go, all right, Julius Caesar, let's say Dean Leffingwell, the chief methodologist of SAFe, right? He's kind of the founder of SAFe. He's Julius Caesar, and he's fighting the Gauls of ancient France, Britain, and Germanic tribes, or even the Isle of Britain, right? Of course, they can dominate. Who knows if SAFe will be here in the future? Jeff Bezos has said about Amazon, you know, we're going to eventually be a day two company and disappear. SAFe will probably be replaced with something else. As long as they keep reinventing themselves and improving, they probably won't. So it's about honing your career, honing your skills, and understanding what not just SAFe has, but Scrum.org, Scrum Alliance, Discipline Agile, etc. And they are helpful that way. Now look at this. I know that other organizations out there consider this a threat. I've talked to those people. I've heard it. There's been relationships that have been hit, and other near courtroom battles about this. SAFe has got a lot of great numbers here. Again, they make money. Yes, they do. from all of this. They got to make money somewhere. They're a business. They're not a nonprofit or a voluntary service, but they do help, and they do give and pledge, and they provide lots of different ways of helping out in different perspectives. So with that, I'm going to tell another story here. Is SAFe valuable? All right. So again, I've done a lot of work in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul in Minnesota. And I went to a product conference in 2017. This is product managers, product owners. Again, it had the late Dave Hussman leading it. And I was really into SAFe in 2017, like so much so that I put on one of these SAFe, I think it's 4.5 at that time, SAFe 4.5 t-shirt. And I was going to go into the conference just wearing that t-shirt, right? And I thought, no, it's too dressed down. I need to put on a dress shirt. So I put on a dress shirt over it. Man, am I so happy I did that. I come in there, and I won't name people specifically, but this is being run by Dev Jam Productions. They were bought by C Prime. And they were saying things like, and who thinks that SAFe is good? Boo! Boo! And who hates SAFe, right? SAFe sucks. Yeah, yeah. People were cheering. I'm like sitting in my chair trying to hide, right? It's like, oh my God. Same event a year and a half later in December of 2018. Same event held by the same people. The attitude totally changed. It went from we hate SAFe to SAFe is here to stay. What can we do to make it work for us, product managers and product owners? What a major change. And now if you know about C Prime, they are a major SAFe supporter. They are a SAFe partner. So the track record has come there. Leadership likes it because it allows the network and the hierarchy to live like a great marriage, and it helps thaw the frozen middle. And with the standardized training material, which not is the case for, say, Scrum Alliance, it allows everybody to know exactly what they're getting when they get the training. There's no variance of the training. Those have really helped bring that gold into SAFe itself. So let's just compare and contrast, right? You got the Agile Manifesto, right? The Agile Manifesto, as Gabby was bringing up, has 4 values, 12 principles, right? Here's the values and principles. You already saw them, and you already probably all know them. So not going to go. SAFe has 4 core values, all right? There's 4 values in Agile Manifesto, 4 values in SAFe. They're just a little modified. 6 mindsets, okay? So that's kind of the new part, right? 6 mindsets and 10 principles, right? Is it really all that different? They're just taking it for a bigger organization, right? You know, last month I heard through this group in the Agile 20th anniversary in the DMV, Alistair Colburn talk about his experiences about the Agile Manifesto, how that got made in Vail, and all the great details about it. There's lots of history there, and it's really cool to hear Alistair talk about it, right? It's very cool. But yet, you know, there is a recognition that even for that, it compares to Agile Manifesto with SAFe. These are all just been taken over time. That was one event. It doesn't have to be fixed. It's all about changing. It's like having an elasticity clause, right? So last thing, I had a lot of fun researching the prosecution side about the resistance. Here are some of the names that have come through throwing out SAFe. And I like to think about it like an old John Mellencamp song. I fight SAFe and SAFe always wins. Okay. Stephen Denning, I've seen him. He's awesome. I love watching him speak. He went from SAFe bashing to praising SAFe indirectly at Volvo. All right. And sorry about that. And Bob Galen, right? I think he's great. He said he doesn't like SAFe. Well, perhaps he's a gull. Perhaps he's one of those competitors. Bob, I love you, but I wonder about why you don't like SAFe. I got to ask. Marty Kagan, he talks about SAFe focuses on outputs, not outcomes. Read it again, Marty. I think you've read an old version of SAFe. You need to update your understanding of it. Okay, he openly admitted he didn't know SAFe in practice as much. And so SAFe has grown and evolved since the time he had it with lean startup, design thinking, those things. They do focus on outcomes. Mike Cohen. He's actually got a hilarious one he did probably 5 years ago now called Laughable. Instead of SAFe, it's Laughable. And you can look it up. He looked at SAFe many years ago as a dog with fleas, and he hasn't seen it ever come back. Craig Larman, if any of you know, he's the gentleman from Large Scale Scrum, and he's also following the output over outcome. SAFe has addressed that. Now, it took a while. I remember meeting with Dean Leffingwell back in 2016, first time. And the first thing I came up to him, I asked him a very big question. I'm outspoken, I haven't figured it out yet. I asked Dean, so where is the customer here? Where are we doing the work for the user, having the user in mind? He goes, oh, you mean fit for purpose? Yeah, kind of, sort of. We're getting on that. It's just taking us a while. That was 5 years ago. Okay. So they did finally get to it. Took longer than I would have expected, but they did. Same thing with Scott Ambler. If any of you know about Discipline Agile, he tends to say his way of working is focused. Well, SAFe supports ways of working. And then Chris, this is the group that was involved behind the Spotify model, which really isn't a model, it's more of an organizational layout. If you ever want to have some fun and laugh, look up their evil coach. They make fun of SAFe. But again, it's old, right? SAFe has changed in the past, even 1 year, right? Gabby mentioned it was a week ago, a little longer than that, but they released 5.1. They continue to evolve. So I'm going a little bit over, but this is important with my last little bit. Is SAFe more agile than agile? Well, wait a minute. There's a change manifesto out there with change behavior, right? There's an Agile 2.0. You can look it up. What about companies like Amazon with their leadership principles? They call the LPs. They live and breathe by those leadership principles, right? Apple's got their values. And so is Amazon following SAFe? No. I know people on the inside. Is Apple following SAFe? No. Are they following Agile? Not really. They follow their own way of doing work. Are they successful? Hell yeah. Two of the most wealthiest companies in the world, I'd say so. So are they more agile than agile? Maybe, right? So keep that in mind. So that comes down to the last point I want to bring up. Does it really matter, right? Does it really matter if SAFe is fake agile or not? What matters is to succeed in business, and SAFe is a path, a set of tools and behaviors behind it, and you get to understand the why behind it. It helps give you that direction if you don't know where to go to next. Many companies adopt SAFe as a waterfall variation, okay? And that's a bad way to use SAFe, but at least they're starting down a path that's new rather than doing the same thing. So again, last thing is problem is with SAFe consultants and the implementation of SAFe and the culture of the company doing it. If they can't get out of their own cultural problems, SAFe isn't going to help either, all right? So it doesn't really matter whether you use SAFe or something else. The thing is, you just got to try. And that's why SAFe is real agile.
Thank you very much. Do we have any final words, 90 seconds only, from the prosecution or the defense?
Your Honor, my summary would be as follows. The defense likes to defend against phantom arguments. The arguments made by the prosecution were not addressed in his versions. The defense even admitted openly that it doesn't matter. You can use whatever works for you. So then what works for you should follow to the Agile principles and not to what SAFe is trying to force on people. If you want to use pieces of SAFe, you are not allowed to. You have to use full SAFe to be safe. That is the way SAFe thinks. SAFe directs you how to do things. It doesn't allow you to self-organize. And I want to note something about PI planning and scale in general. Is it important that we talk to each other? Of course. Is it important that maybe people get together and have a big conversation? Absolutely. The Agile principles themselves talk about it daily, about communicating constantly. We are supposed to be doing that in Agile, but if you are being forced to do it in a specific way, that's when we get into trouble. You can scale on the way that works best for your organization meeting these principles. You do not need to be told, do one of these four. This is the only way to scale. And while we have things like scale at Scrum at Scale and other organizations like that, I'm not here to address those. I'm merely saying that SAFe itself is not Agile. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Hey, I feel like Joe Biden debating Donald Trump. Okay, I'm getting no time here. What's up with that? Huh? Look at that. Oh, you're going to give me a minute and a half? Okay.
Yeah, I worked off the clock.
Okay. I was looking at
Order in the court. Order in the court. I want you both to stop being poopy heads. Thank you.
So, now granted, I did say, what does it matter? But our SAFe is on trial here about being agile, right? SAFe has the components of agile there. And I wish to counter here that with PI planning, it's doing it in a farther event of doing multiple planning in a lean thinking way that combines agile, which agile has lean concepts in there at a larger scale. So I also heard that customers were not in the center. Well, you're looking at the wrong picture, all right? Now, and again, they're evolving. This came out with version 5, but the customer is in the center of all of these competencies that have to do with SAFe. And it starts down with the team and the leadership and the continuous learning culture as far as the actual business agility that you have as a goal over time for an organization. Do you have to follow their prescribed way of doing it? No, you do not. Again, SAFe is not mandating this. Ask anybody who works for SAFe as a SAFe fellow, or even Dean himself. I've asked those kind of questions. I've heard Dean say, actually, just about a month ago, when he was talking about his experience, he wasn't invited to the room, right, for the Agile Manifesto when it was created. He seemed a little miffed about that. But in other words, he said, look, we were doing rough, we were doing other things, we were doing it not well. I was still learning.
5 seconds, sir.
We have now gotten to the point where we're at a better place. All right, and I feel like Donald Trump now.
Thank you both. Thank you both very much for your arguments. I do have one question for the jury. What does Isabella put on her popcorn? Isabella, what do you put on your popcorn?
I don't know, but I can't find the mute button. So, who am I part of the jury here?
You are no, you're a witness right now.
Oh, okay. So what do I put in my popcorn? Just butter.
Okay.
Plain
butter. No salt. Good for you. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody come off mute for just a second. How do you think these guys did? Yeah, and you can do that with a round of applause, please. What do you think? They deserve a round of applause.
Really good. Yay.
Well done. Well done.
Excellent.
Fun format.
I thought they were both awesome. I really appreciate it. One of the things that I will point out, because Michael, I would love to chat with you about Ann and others at Minneapolis, because
you know her name.
I work with them. I love them all. And Ann did do a lightning talk for us, something that you did not do. Just pointing that out. And Isabella did. Thank you all. We're going to go over to our lean coffee now, right? Is that next on the agenda?
Yes.
All right.
So we got that. Am I still sharing my screen? Everyone can see the lean coffee?
You are. If everybody can, let's post that link one more. Oh, all right. We just posted the link.
I did recently. I will do it again.
Awesome.
So you will have to create an account if you don't have one. That is the one hurdle here. It doesn't take all that long to create an account. You can do it free. If they ask you for money, don't give it unless you really want to, and that's up to you. But in any event, we have topics here, and we're going to be voting on these topics in a moment. So that's the part that we're going to be doing. So if you can add new topics by typing them in here. Why?
Can we add the topic of, is SAFe an attempt to place governance framework on top of Agile? Romana asked that question, and I think it's worth putting up here on the board.
Okay.
So we have the Menti Meter. Love for your comments. It looks like we've got over 40 people have commented so far. Thank you all so much for that.
What is the Menti Meter and where is it?
Menti Meter, here is the link. Menti Meter is a tool that allows you to, it's an interactive tool. You can do you can do tests, but we have a word cloud up and running, and
Okay.
everybody can enter information or thoughts in their word cloud. I will post that.
Don't see the link.
Hang on, there we go. Oh, because I keep posting it to Ming directly, and I should post it to everyone. There we go.
There we go. Thank you.
Go
That's
there,
a lot
enter
more
that
helpful.
code. That'll be great. So now we'll go into our lean coffee. And before we do close, I do want to mention a little bit about the lightning talks that we do have posted that many of you were awesome in presenting. Thank you, Isabella. All right, so Michael, I'm going to hand it back over to you, sir.
All right, great. So it looks like we've got 11 now, and we'll give it another minute. Does anybody else want to have more time? Like you're putting one in, or you really want one put in? Please speak up, because otherwise I'm just going to start running with this so we can have our debates, our deliberation, really.
Let's run.
Oh, I'm trying to put it on your board. Sorry. Of course, that doesn't work.
Yeah, I've done that one before.
Yeah, while we're doing that, for those of you that don't know, a20dmv.org, we did a 3-day event celebrating the Agile Manifesto. We had a number of wonderful people there, and we couldn't get all the speakers from the DC metro area, but we had a number of people present lightning talks, some of which I've gotten great feedback from. These were all pre-recorded lightning talks. They're right here. Dominic created one, which was very controversial. Thank you very much, Dominic. Everybody give Dominic a round of applause. I love it because it's great food for thought. Isabella created one, and we got a couple of compliments from Isabella's already, which was fabulous. We got some during the event as well as others, and which was very great. So thank you very much, Isabella. And Rachel, who was here for a little bit, she did one which was fabulous. Everybody give Rachel, is she still here?
I'm still here.
All right, thank you. Well, come put on your camera for a minute. Wave hi to everybody. Her and Pete did a very interactive one. I thought it was great. And so Rachel, you're out and about. Where are you, Rachel?
Walking on the Baltimore Harbor.
Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that view. That is amazing. And
anyone who knows me, if there's a meeting after 5, I'm on a walk.
Got it. And it is absolutely gorgeous today in the DC metro area. I don't know where everybody is. I know we have somebody from Morocco and Germany and other places. And if everybody wants to type in the word cloud where you're from, that would be awesome too. So if you go to the Menti word cloud and just type in your location. So Rachel, you could type in Baltimore Harbor if you can type on your phone, but thank you so much for coming on. And Rachel's is a lot of fun. Isabella's is a lot of fun. Dominic is a lot of fun. These are all things that you can absorb in under 10 minutes. So, everybody's got coffee break, something, just want to go flip through those. They're really great. And we may continue to build them out. I would love your feedback on that. And I would love your feedback on this. Michael, I will shut up now.
Steve, I have a question about the A20DMV. Is everything from that out there on that website?
Everything is out there, including all of the talks, as well as, so everything is there. It's all there. Check it out.
So everything that was on Whova is out on this A20DMV.
And things that weren't on Whova is on there too.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Okay. So here's what we're doing. We're voting. You notice you can, for those of you logged in, we're just going to give like 2 minutes. I'll put on like a Google timer or something. 2 minutes. You can click on this. If you're in, you can click on the vote button, right? Everyone has 3 votes. Notice that there's 3 dots you have of your name. If I did all the votes here, I could do them all in the same one. I can remove them. So take them off, and you can vote anywhere you want. I am seeing that many people have already been putting votes down. Let's just give a couple of minutes. Try to use your votes. There's some people that have a couple of votes left, like Jubin and Laura. So finish using all your votes if you can. And then we will go into starting the discussion.
And if anybody wants to type into the word cloud who they think won, whether you can just put guilty or innocent, that might be fun too. And make sure you do vote on the word cloud, because you get a chance to vote. Oh, look at that. We're getting lots of votes. This is great.
All right. I put it down to under a minute, but I think people are catching on pretty fast here. Yeah, we got a good amount of votes. Well, we must have gone out to an early dinner for the jury here to get started on this, and now the coffee's getting a little cold, but we'll get to it in just a moment. Why don't we stop? I think we got a good enough amount of votes. If you haven't voted now, sorry, we're gonna move on and just start the discussion. So what it does is one cool thing about Lean Coffee Table, it's a very easy to use tool. It does the highest number of votes down the bottom. So the first one here, we're gonna go in discussion here. How do you make a 3-month commitment to other teams where all of you are building something you've never built before? How is this mess of dependencies ever, let me zoom down, ever going to be delivered as predicted? So let's put this in discussion, and we're going to do it for 3 minutes. So Gabby, you want to start?
No, it's an attack on you. You should start. You should be able to defend yourself first.
So I am defense, and I do feel like I've been attacked, maybe even violated. So 3-month commitment here, building software never built before. So you're not committing to an exact schedule. You're not committing to, we're going to have this software done in the next 3 months. In SAFe, there's actually only 2 outputs that happen. One are PI objectives. What are our main objectives for a program increment? That's SAFe's fancy way of PI is program increment. What are our objectives we're trying to go for? So everyone can follow that North Star of it. The other thing is the program board. The program board is all the dependencies that often get overlooked when you have multiple teams running their own ways in silos and they don't talk to each other very much, right? So this way, getting them to have a visual, and that's the key word, visual program board allows teams to see the dependencies for each other so they can make the sequencing and the conversations happen so they don't get stuck by any part of the board that would end up being a stopper for something they don't know and they discover as they go. You're still doing Scrum, you're still doing Kanban, you're still doing XP principles every 2 weeks. So we still have the basis of what Agile's been built off with those methodologies in there, and 3 months is just to get a bigger picture. Yes, it is meant to help with leadership, but it's also meant to help unify business and IT and have business and IT talk the same talk, be able to unify. If you tried to do this, like one business I know of, they would do every 4 weeks this meeting where they got 60 people together and they talked about where the next version of the product's going to go. They didn't know much about SAFe at all. It was very waterfally, and basically those who were the highest pay grade were the ones that were making the decisions, and all their lieutenants and below were just going, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, right? That doesn't work. SAFe takes that out of the picture and starts getting it where people are on a level playing field, being able to bring up their real problems in a manner that shows to the business owners and their management and to even a CIO or a CTO what's going on.
Thanks, Michael. So my perspective with only 30 seconds to go is I've seen people deliver plans that they made 3 months in advance. 3 months is not the worst timeline in the world. Doesn't make it agile. In fact, I'd say it's more waterfall. This is where you say, here's our plan. We're going to commit to this. This is what we're going to work on. I've seen it work. We just call that iterative waterfall. It's not agile.
But the Agile Manifesto says you're delivering potentially shippable increments, or they don't call it those words, but viable software within a month or less, a shorter time frame. This still includes that on it. It's just adding another component to it.
Time. How do we feel about the topic?
Give votes. I'm gonna do no preference. Ooh, it's a close one.
Well, extend topic or no preference. Should we give everybody, well, Gabby only had 30 seconds. So should we give him another 30 seconds?
Let's
take another 30.
Let's do a minute. Go ahead, Gabby.
Sure. I think it's important to think about how we're being told to plan. If you do PI planning every month, it's a lot of commitment. That's not SAFe. You do it every 4 months, that's not SAFe. This is telling you how to collaborate, telling you how to self-organize. It's forcing you to a specific way to do a plan. There's an output. You're supposed to do it at the feature level. What if I want to do it at the epic level? What if I want to do it at the story level? What if I want to spend a week, not 2 days? That SAFe doesn't say you can do. SAFe has a way to do it, and they want you to do it their way. I think this is possible. I'm going to give some credit here. It's absolutely possible. I'm just going to go back to the same point I've been making the whole time. It's just not agile. And even if you want to say that they say you could do release things, every number of things, that's release. You do not have to release at the end of a PI. You could just deliver stuff moving forward.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm going to call this topic as the judge.
Okay, Judge Mulgrave.
Thank you.
Next one on the list here. Let me go ahead and I'll read it first. Maybe SAFe focuses more on lean values and principles in Agile. Thoughts?
I'll take this one first.
Well,
I think this could go either way, really. But
let me move this to end.
yeah.
All right, and then move this here. All right, just a little 3 minutes.
I don't think I would disagree with that. I don't think that's an unfair assessment. Whoever put that in, I've seen a lot. I don't think I've seen any lean in Agile. The Agile Manifesto doesn't really reflect that. It clearly incorporates some thoughts in there. Things like the book, The Goal, is clearly thought of when it comes to the Agile Manifesto, and part of the logic in there. There's no question that SAFe absolutely is more in tune with lean. They definitely get more in that. It doesn't mean that SAFe is agile. It just means that I'm not saying that SAFe isn't valuable. You've never heard me say that there are pieces of SAFe that are not valuable and that could be used that the average person that might be able to use. They use lean. That's great. I can't speak to the level of the leanness, but I can tell you that there's definitely more of an emphasis on lean. That's for sure true. It doesn't make it agile.
And by the way, honorable judge, you can call on people from the jury. This is a jury deliberation. This isn't just the prosecution defense talking. If anybody wishes to bring in, you as a judge can definitely allow that to happen, or one of the jury members just speak up.
I am reading the comments quite well. Rachel and Camille have, and Laura, you guys have all. Anybody raise your hand, and I will give you 30 seconds. Laura, you're off mute right now.
Oh yeah, that means I have to talk.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think we were just talking about how when you're first scaling, you should scale in a way that's more lean, and SAFe is not that. And there's probably other ways to scale if you're first trying to just dip your toe into it. And so it's kind of against SAFe being agile, but also saying that SAFe actually really isn't that lean either, was the conversation we were having, and that there's other scaled frameworks that are more lean or more introductory scaled frameworks.
Thank you very much, witness. Camille or Rachel? You only got 30 seconds.
I will put a ditto on that. You need to lean out first before you scale. And if you are practicing SAFe, you need to lean out continuously. But it doesn't do that.
Or the people that like SAFe don't do that easily.
Yeah, you could do it, but it doesn't happen in the real world.
There we go. There we go. That's a very good point for both of you. Rachel, I know you're on a walk.
Yeah, I've experienced the opposite, where it's more about the intrinsic motivation of the people and accountability around maintaining those agile values that tend to lean more toward waterfall practices. If you are moving toward an agile framework, it's all about how you measure that. If you continue to measure it in a waterfall way, then of course it's going to feel more waterfall. But I agree, any scaling framework works.
Thank you very much. All right, extend the topic. Extend the topic for, it looks like we're going to extend the topic. As the judge and being biased and corrupt, as Isabella has pointed out numerous times, I will remind everybody that there are 10 principles with SAFe. And if you follow the principles, it becomes less prescriptive than being prescriptive. Scrum is prescriptive. Scaled Agile Framework provides you some guidance, but follow the principles, and the principles are pretty good. So,
Judge, how many minutes should I extend?
2.
Okay, so I'm going to answer this one. So SAFe being agile doesn't mean SAFe's still got everything right. It's evolving. And one area to me that's a missing component that's being brushed on with these topics about, are we at the right point intrinsically motivated? Are we able to actually start running SAFe, right? Are the teams ready for it? Is the culture ready for it? It comes down to change behaviors and modern change management. And SAFe doesn't have a very good playbook or instructions on doing coaching. Now, Jennifer Fawcett, one of the SAFe fellows, she recently retired, started talking about that, saying an SPC is an agile coach. They don't have a role for an agile coach, but they say that's what SPCs are about. And the coaching is involved in everybody within SAFe, like Scrum Masters, they can be coaches too. However, they don't really have much information about it. And when it comes to changing people, SAFe is missing it. So if I had a recommendation for Dean Leffingwell and the rest of Scaled Agile, it would get more into that change management side of it. But that doesn't say that SAFe is not agile. It's still agile. It just added more things to agile. Agile is at the heart of SAFe. Agile's there. It's got all of those components. It's just built it with lean, DevOps, and hopefully someday more on change behaviors.
So to answer really back to your honor, with all due respect, with 10 principles adding on top, if that was the focus of SAFe, it wouldn't be a 3-day course or a 2-day course teaching you how to do SAFe. It'd be really short. It'd be much shorter. But instead, those principles are on day 1, and you hear from them never again. Everything else is foundational based on those principles. I'm all on board with that. I get that. A lot of them are basically commentary on the original principles. That's okay. You could have your flavor. That's their take. But then we got all of that on top of it. That's the problem with SAFe. Is the framework on top of the framework on top of the framework.
This is all right. The prosecution makes a good point, but everybody's got to make a buck, and that's why everybody sells certificates. IC Agile, Scrum Alliance, everybody sells certificates because that's how they make money, right? All right.
All on board with that.
What do we have time for one more topic? Yeah, one more topic. Come on, let's go. Let's see. All right, we still have 44 people on board, so we'll continue to do topics until we get to like 40.
Mr. Dougherty, I think you should go first on this one.
Okay, yeah, I should have read it first. What SAFe created to give managers something to do? Do I need to answer that one? In a way. So SAFe has their public message, and everybody I think would agree SAFe has been phenomenal at their marketing. Okay, they have truly been amazing. Just with the word choices they call themselves. You know, is it SAFe? I mean, man, they predicted COVID with SAFe, the name SAFe itself, before it even happened, without even knowing it, right? The arts, the LACE I was talking about accidentally earlier, Lean Agile Center of Excellence, the architectural runway. There's so many analogies to trains and to being SAFe and so on that they've done a really good job to make managers feel good about it. Now, that doesn't make SAFe good. Then it doesn't necessarily make SAFe agile. I remember when networks like the TIBCO back in the early 2000s was the network to do. It was a piece of trash. If you ever ended up having networking with TIBCO, put it on the TIB back in the day, you knew you were in a world of hurt. Novell was much better, and then Microsoft and Cisco and other companies started kicking their butt further. But the thing was, they had great marketing. Now, great marketing will take you far. It will get you into the house and get you going. It'll get you to the managers who will buy it. You know, there's a conversation. I actually had a couple people in this meeting, Pete Oliver Kruger and Rachel Bradstock yesterday, regarding the influencers on a purchasing decision. And SAFe is kind of in the same way. It's popular. The one who's sponsoring it may not be the one that's using it, may not be the one that really wants to use it. So there are different perspectives. But SAFe has shown itself to not only be popular, but work in the field.
I have an objection from the jury. There is a claim that the prosecution is not, or excuse me, that the defense is not addressing the topic at hand.
Okay.
Was this creating
and that is
something to do?
That managers already had something to do. It would give managers more to do. That's what I'm dealing with the frozen middle right now for a SAFe transformation. Their managers are complaining to me like, I already got a full-time job. you're giving me a full-time job on top of a full-time job. All right. And so then it becomes an idea of how can we replace what they're doing, not completely, because you got to have the hierarchy and the network, with new ways. And I have some techniques. One of them I call meeting removal machine, out of a song, Love Removal Machine by the Cult, where we go through what are the meetings you do right now? How can we remove those meetings with SAFe and Agile and Scrum and so on, so that you're not adding more work and make yourself crazy? Plus, share the wealth. That's what SAFe Help does. That's what Agile also Help does, so that you're not bottlenecking it to individual managers. They can get afraid by that because they lose. They have to give their power. That's a challenge.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael. I see that Bob has come off of, Robert, you've come off of mute. Would you like to have 30 seconds? And Pete, I see that you've joined us. I didn't realize you were here sooner. If you would like 30 seconds, I will allow that. Bob?
And I guess I'm the only Bob?
Yep.
Okay. Well, first of all, I believe that SAFe is agile, so I'm considering them innocent. My rationale is that the teams, at the team level, you can still run Scrum, run whatever framework you're using. It's the program and the portfolio level that is really the benefit of Scaled Agile framework. And it aligns it, and you develop that flow from the portfolio to the program to the teams that I believe is the real asset of the framework.
Thank you, Bob. And that is a good point. Pete, I don't know if you'd like to say anything. There he is. Yes, Pete, if you'd like 30 seconds, please.
Sure. I do want to say something about this topic here for giving managers something to do, because you need to. And so I think that's actually a power of SAFe, because oftentimes the managers are in there doing the work that the teams are supposed to be doing, and they're taking away from the empowered teams, and they're right down in the teams doing the work with them, and it's not. So there's stuff that's not getting done. And one of the things I do like about SAFe is it brings up some of the things like product management and intrinsic motivation, and how do we motivate people, and gives that to the managers to do.
Hey, Pete, that was so excellent. May I write a book with you?
You may.
Awesome.
Actually,
yeah.
For those of
Your
you
Honor,
that
may the
don't
prosecution
know,
have time to
Michael
address this
and
one point?
Pete, for those of you that don't know, Michael and Pete are writing a book together, and I believe it's going to be excellent. Since we touched on product management, Dominic, would you like 30 seconds?
Yeah, I put this I put this question in here, and the organizations I've seen is there's a lot of people in IT and software development that don't know how to analyze, design, code, or test. And all of these people need something to do. And a lot of them have latched on to SAFe and maybe a couple of other frameworks. And I don't see how it necessarily helps. Thanks.
Your Honor, may the prosecution have a chance to address this question?
I'm sorry?
May the prosecution have a chance to address this question?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. My answer to this one is actually going to give SAFe the benefit of the doubt here and say, no, it wasn't created just to give managers something to do. But let's steal from SAFe's principles. See, the SPC coming out, who actually knows the principles. So let's steal one of SAFe's own principles. Unlock the intrinsic knowledge of the workers, right? Why are you telling them who to have? What if you only want to have product owners and not product managers? What if you don't need epic owners? I never heard of an epic owner before SAFe. It wasn't created to give managers what to do, but it does give managers what to do because they're telling them what to do. It's not agile. Let them self-organize. They want to do it that way, great. Otherwise, don't tell the managers what to do. Don't give them more work if it doesn't work for that organization. Thanks.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Do we have time for one more topic? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, do we need one more topic?
Sure.
All right. One more topic. And please don't forget. And Michael, what is the name of that book again? That wonderful book?
Called Shift from Product to People. We're going to kick Mick Kirsten's butt.
All right.
I recorded that. Mick, I don't mean it.
Yeah. You know, Mick joins us. No.
Yeah, right.
His is an awesome book. And when is that book going to be available?
When it's done. This
Okay.
year. That's our goal. This year. It'll be this year. Don't have an exact date. We'll be PI planning it.
I think that's more like a waterfall project. We have to have all the requirements in place before we deliver, as opposed to we will deliver on cadence. Next topic, please.
Do we want to do one that comes from the chat, or do we want to do one of these discussion topics here?
Let's see. We have a lot in the chat. Shift. Oh, there it is. Shift from product to people. Not busy work. Let's see. Do we need to keep them? I think we just covered that one really well. Do we want to take a topic directly from the audience? Does anyone in the jury have a topic they would like to propose?
How about the fourth one down about, is it just placing governance?
Okay, I like that one.
The jury has decided. And so is SAFe an attempt to place governance framework on top of Agile? I mean, there is definite governance with SAFe, right? There is a bit of the appearance of command and control. That's because there is some things about SAFe that SAFe powers don't go with the team solely, right? Teams can't make all the decisions about, hey, we're going to acquire a new company. Let the team decide on acquiring a company. We're going to enter a new market, a new country. Let the teams decide on that. So there is some governance that is for the organization, the enterprise, that is under a framework. And there was another comment from one of the individuals that, lean portfolio management, stop the fast food service of just trying to get everyone to do it, and the release planning, so we can have longer term direction rather than always going every 2 weeks. So SAFe does have that. And I saw your 30 seconds on this, Steve, so I'm going to give a little more time for anyone else who wants to answer.
Prosecution.
Thank you. I think it is safe to say, it's so safe to say that it was in my presentation until I had to time box it, and I only had 15 minutes, so I'm like, I got to pull something out. That was in here because yes, I think it is, as Mr. Dougherty would say, revenge of the PMO. It is a bit of that. It is bringing back some governance into the thing. Is there a little governance so bad? Nah, it's not the worst thing in the world. But let people figure out the governance that makes sense for them. What charts do they want to put in place? What processes do they want to put into place? What funnels make sense for them? If it has to be a program Kanban funnel in order to get something down to the teams, but first we got to go through the epic level to hit to the feature level. And what if we do capabilities? Well, we got to hit the capability followed by the features. But in the features, what works for you? What's your flavor of Agile, as I like to say? There's different flavors out there. Let people use the flavor that works best for them. And putting governance. Listen, I'm not the person who's going to come out here and say, let people do whatever they want. That's Agile. That's not Agile. It's valuing the people on the ground. Let the people on the ground make the decision that makes sense for them, and let that drive, rather than throwing this big thing on top of them that they have to follow. Well, did you fill this? I didn't see that lean business case, but obviously this is what we're doing. Sorry, I need the lean business case, or we can't move it in the funnel. Let's make sure we're letting the people drive what makes the most sense.
Okay, Romano, thank you very much. Romano, you came off of mute. Would you like to share?
Well, that was my question. So it's very interesting. And even though I came here to support Michael, but Gabby won this one for me.
Ooh, wow, Gabby.
Because well, I tend to think the complexity, like when we walk into a business and say, we know SAFe Agile, and here we'll teach it to you, they all just kind of go, oh, and I think you could promote Agile in a simpler, safer way. But maybe we should have another version of SAFe, Michael, that is simplified SAFe, or kindergarten SAFe, or because there's certain things like scope creep that SAFe does well with, but it is complex.
Maybe they could call it essential SAFe.
Well, that's what they started to do, right?
Okay, lost that one.
Yeah, they haven't been able to get it simple enough. I know that Bassfode of less, the kinder, gentler Craig Larman has complained about SAFe being too complex and prescriptive, and there is some truth to that. So again, don't go with doing like what SAFe says is their quick start method of, oh, just get people trained and just start. Yeah, it'll be all messy and so on and get going. You can do it in 2 weeks, right? If you do that and your culture isn't ready, you're going to end up having a train wreck that's going to make N. Campbell Pretty blanch. All right. If anyone you know, she wrote a book called The Art of a Train Wreck, right? I think I'm butchering the name a little bit there, but The Art of Avoiding a Train Wreck. There we go. That's the right name. So in any event, yeah, SAFe could be simplified as a starting point. They just haven't gotten there. And that implementation plan, may I remind y'all, I like to joke about this. Ramona's probably heard this. I got to pull it in. It's at the bottom of the main thing. This implementation plan, I like to call it Candyland, right? The implementation roadmap, I like to call this Candyland, except it's just missing the lollipops and the gumdrops and the multiple colors. This is all about getting SAFe a lot of money, but yet then again, they are saying that if you do this, you have some chance of going through. It's very prescriptive. Did Genomic Health follow this plan? No. Am I what I'm doing right now with where I'm at? Am I following this? No, I'm not. We're doing it wherever it makes sense. They can give you this book. You can throw this book out and you can still be doing SAFe.
Or like Chutes and Ladders than like Candyland. You got to go
like
where it makes sense for you.
There we go. There we go. Now we're seeing the differences really come out in everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 7 o'clock, or at least 1 minute from 7 o'clock. Please, again, come off mute. Add any comments that you like in the word cloud. I thought these guys did a fabulous job. I want to give them a round of applause for sure. And everybody who thinks that maybe Pete and Rachel should do something based on their lightning talk coming up soon, just say, yay, that'd be fabulous, because that would be awesome. All right, Pete, I hope you and Rachel heard that. So, so we'll talk about that. So please go to a20dmv.org. Check out check out the lightning talks and the other talks. There is one there from Alistair as well. Thank you all very much. Michael, Gabby, any last words other than check out their book, because it is going to be, check out Michael's book. It's going to be awesome. I know it. I know it is. You heard from him today. Pete was here for just a bit, and he's also brilliant. Trust me on that. So any last words before we close out for the evening?
Yeah, I'll just say, besides check out their book, one thing I'll go out of my way to say is, again, performance art. I'm an SPC. I'm doing trainings in a couple of weeks on SAFe. I'm doing SAFe right now. Just kind of like break the illusion for a second here, the fourth wall. SPC, SAFe supporter, generally kind of thing. I do think there are fleas. I do think there are problems with it. SAFe, even as a regular person, but actually a SAFe supporter in practice, even if I'm also a bit of a Scrum person more than SAFe. So just putting that out there for the group.
All right, and my final parting comments are, first off, Gabby will never, ever, ever be a regular person. He's an exceptional person. And thank you, Gabby, for coming up with this idea a year ago. We got approved at Agile 2020 for this very topic, but then some little thing called coronavirus hit. So we weren't able to do it. And this is actually the first time we've really done this together as our first shot of maybe doing it a lot more in the future. We hope to do it in Agile 2021 or some other event in the future. So thank you all for playing along with us. If you really enjoyed it, as it looks like you have, we really appreciate that. And we're always seeking improvement in our debates as well. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all very much. If you guys enjoy the meetup, then please reach out to 1 or 2 people that you know. Let them know about.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Where can you watch this thing over again?
We will have everything loaded on agiledmv.org. I'm posting that in here, agiledmv.org. And that is where everything will be loaded. It may take me a couple of days to get it up there. I usually do it over the weekends, but we will have things ready to be available then. We'll also post it again on the Meetup channel when it is loaded. We'll post it in LinkedIn and it will be there. So thank you very much. And I look forward to communicating with all of you again.
Steve, this is OC, by the way. Nice hat.
Oh, see, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Very much. Oh, see, this is, you know, I've been giving myself my own haircuts since COVID hit. So that was great. Laura, it is so good to see you. Camille, Bob, Dominic. Dominic, is this the first time you joined us?
No, I'm maybe the second.
Okay.
Great to be here. Fantastic format.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, that was on these guys. So they just
Great job,
invited
both
me
of them.
to the show. So I enjoyed it. Thank you guys. You guys are brilliant.
Thanks,
Absolutely. So blessed to have all you here. Thank you all so much. Love you all.
All right.
Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Good night.
Be safe.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks all.
It was really awesome.
Ha, ha, ha.
Ha ha ha.